There exists within you two versions of self. One is hesitant, always searching for comfort, always waiting for the right moment. The other is bold, decisive, and destined to lead your life to greatness. Every single day, one of them takes control, and whichever voice you choose to follow writes the story of your future. The hesitant self whispers excuses. It tells you that maybe tomorrow will be better. It convinces you that your dream is too heavy to carry, that you should wait until you feel ready. But here's the truth. Readiness never comes. Strength is not delivered by chance. It is built by choice. The powerful self, the one you are capable of becoming, doesn't wait for permission. It doesn't rely on inspiration to appear. It moves forward, trembling if it must, but still moving. Imagine the greatest builders of history. Leonardo da Vinci sketching late into the night, Marie Curie experimenting long after others stopped, Nikola Tesla working relentlessly when the world doubted him. None of them waited for perfect timing. They acted, they endured, and they discovered strength along the way. You were created with that same capacity. You are not designed to crawl through life. You were built to rise, to stand firm, and to press forward even when the ground beneath you shakes. The question is not, do you have what it takes? The real question is, will you decide? Most people quit too early. They step away not because the challenge is impossible, but because the effort feels uncomfortable. And yet, every extraordinary life has been shaped in those very moments when it would have been easier to walk away. Think about it. The athlete who trains before sunrise, the musician who practices long after the applause has faded, the entrepreneur who continues refining when everyone else has given up, they all share one thing in common. They made a decision that their commitment would not depend on how they felt in the moment. That is your turning point. Your destiny does not wait for external motivation. It waits for your decision. A quiet, unwavering commitment that says, from this day forward, I keep my word. Discipline is not punishment. It is not about being hard on yourself. Discipline is power, the ability to take control of your time, your energy, your life. It is the invisible structure that makes success inevitable. Picture a farmer. If he only plants when he feels inspired, he will starve. But if he plants daily, through sunshine and storm alike, his harvest is guaranteed. The same principle applies to your dreams. Consistency creates momentum, and momentum builds miracles. Your daily habits are bricks. Every promise you keep to yourself, no matter how small, becomes part of the structure of your future. Wake up when you said you would. Take that walk when you promised yourself. Read one page more than you planned. These are not little victories. They are the foundation of self-trust. Each time you follow through, you tell your mind and soul, I am reliable. I can be counted on. And a person who trusts themselves can achieve anything. The comfortable path will always call to you. It will offer rest, distraction, ease. But comfort is a silent thief. It steals the opportunity to become more. Greatness never grows in softness. No empire was ever built in luxury. No scientist made discoveries by avoiding the unknown. No explorer rewrote the map of the world by staying safe at home. Growth happens where discomfort lives. Imagine stepping into a cold river. At first, your body resists. Your breath shortens. Your muscles tense. But with each step, you awaken. Your blood flows. Your spirit sharpens. And suddenly, what once felt unbearable becomes empowering. That is the experience of growth. Every time you choose challenge over ease, you are shaping the stronger version of yourself. And that version is waiting to carry you toward the future you've been imagining. There is a version of you 5 years ahead, living in the house you are building with your actions today. That person will either look back with gratitude, thankful that you stayed the course, or with regret, wishing you had been braver, stronger, more consistent. There is no middle ground. Every decision, every delay, every excuse is a seed. And those seeds will grow into strength or weakness, clarity or confusion, pride or regret. So pause and ask yourself, which version of you do you want to meet in the future? The one who stood tall, or the one who settled? Transformation begins not with grand gestures, but with simple follow-through. If you promised yourself to rise earlier tomorrow, keep it. If you committed to study for 10 minutes, do it. If you said you'd start building your dream, take the first step. Every time you keep a promise, you bury the weaker voice inside you and strengthen the leader within. Small victories stack into massive confidence. One day, those seemingly minor choices will build a future that others call impossible. So today, choose. Decide that you will no longer wait for the right moment. Decide that excuses no longer belong in your vocabulary. Decide that your word is law. The stronger version of you is already alive, waiting for your decision to let him lead. The life you dream of will not arrive with a sudden strike of luck. It will be built quietly, through steady choices, through the moments when no one is clapping and no spotlight is shining. The world loves stories of overnight success, of dramatic transformations, of people who seem to leap from failure to triumph in a single step. But real greatness is not born in explosions. It is constructed stone by stone, habit by habit, day after day. Most people chase intensity. They want the rush of starting something new, the thrill of a sudden breakthrough. But that rush fades. What endures is repetition, the unglamorous, sometimes boring act of showing up and doing the work again and again. Imagine a cathedral being built one stone at a time. For months, even years, it looks like nothing more than a pile of rubble. But the builder who lays each stone with care knows exactly what he is creating. And one day, what was invisible becomes undeniable. That is how your future is built. Every time you honor a small promise, you prove to yourself that you are trustworthy. You said you would rise early, and you did. You said you would write a page, and you wrote two. You said you would finish a workout, and you completed it with energy left to spare. These are not small actions. They are sacred. They are the roots of unshakable confidence. Because confidence is not created by applause or recognition. It is created by proof. And the proof is in the actions you take when no one else is watching. Think about how many times people walk away too soon. They start a project with fire in their chest, but when the progress is invisible, they quit. They believe their effort was meaningless simply because the world stayed silent. But silence is not failure. Silence is where transformation hides before it shows itself. The harvest always comes later than the planting. The most powerful changes are often the ones no one sees. The mornings when you rise while the world is still asleep. The evenings when you stay focused while others waste time. The promises you keep without telling anyone. That invisible work is the real work. It builds strength. It builds identity. It builds the kind of person who no longer doubts their own word. And when you trust yourself deeply, no obstacle can shake you. So if no one notices your effort today, celebrate it anyway. If no one thanks you, thank yourself. If no one claps, clap for yourself. Because every step forward, no matter how small, is sculpting the future version of you who will one day stand tall with pride. The reward may arrive later, but respect can be earned now by respecting your own effort. Do not underestimate the power of ordinary days. A single workout, a single page, a single choice to keep going might feel insignificant, but stacked together, they create momentum, and momentum is unstoppable. A giant is not formed in one leap. He is forged in thousands of steps that seem unremarkable to the outside world but are legendary within. And here's the truth. You don't need to wait for inspiration. You don't need a perfect mood or a surge of energy. Action comes first, and feeling follows. The The spark you're waiting for is hidden in your decision to begin. Waiting for motivation is like waiting for the wind to move your ship. You might drift forever, but when you pick up the oars and start rowing, the movement itself creates the fire you thought you were missing. So do not ask, "Do I feel like it?" Ask instead, "Who do I want to become?" Because the man you want to become does not wait for moods to guide him. He acts because he gave himself his word, and his word is final. The most important battles of your life will not be fought in public. They will be fought in the quiet moments, when you're alone, when you could give yourself an excuse and no one would ever know. That is where destiny is decided. If you give in when no one is looking, the world will see it later. But if you conquer yourself in private, that strength will follow you everywhere. Picture this. You enter a room 5 years from now and meet yourself. One version is clear-eyed, steady, filled with quiet pride. The other is tired, dull, heavy with regret. That meeting will happen, whether you want it to or not. The only question is which version you are building right now, and you are building him with every single choice you make today. So keep moving, keep building, keep showing up, even when it feels invisible, especially when it feels invisible, because one day, the invisible will become undeniable. The world will see the results, but more importantly, you will see the man you have become. A man who finishes what he starts. A man whose word is unbreakable. A man who doesn't need applause to know his worth, because he has already proven it to himself. That is the foundation of true power. That is how legacies are created, not through sudden leaps, but through faithful, daily victories that compound into greatness. You were not placed on this earth to drift aimlessly, waiting for someone else to hand you permission. No one is coming with a map, no one is arriving with a perfect plan, and no one owes you a smoother path. The sooner you release the expectation of rescue, the stronger you become. Your future is not a lottery ticket, it is a construction project, and you are both the architect and the builder. Many spend their lives waiting for the economy to change, waiting for support, waiting for recognition, waiting for luck. But waiting is another name for surrender. Every day that slips away is a day you could have been shaping something real. And here lies your greatest advantage. If no one is coming, then you are free. Free to build without waiting. Free to grow without permission. Free to rise without approval. Think of the inventors, explorers, and creators who changed history. They did not sit around wishing someone would give them a hand. Thomas Edison tested thousands of failures before finding one success. Rosa Parks didn't wait for permission to take a seat that would change the world. Neil Armstrong didn't step onto the moon because conditions were perfect. He stepped because he and his team kept moving regardless of obstacles. They acted, and their actions built legacies. What about you? What are you waiting on? A more convenient time? A surge of energy? The right partner? A miracle? What if none of those arrive? Would you abandon the dream? Or would you take the raw materials already in your hands and start shaping them today? The truth is, the tools you need are already here. They may not look like much right now, but history has shown that even the simplest resources, when combined with determination, can build something extraordinary. A dull blade becomes sharp when pressed against the stone again and again. You are that blade. Your sweat, your persistence, your steady work are the sharpening stones of greatness. And here's the secret. No one owes you applause. No one owes you recognition. The world owes you nothing. But this is not a curse. It is a gift. Because if nothing is promised, then everything can be earned. And what you earn with your own 2 hands, no one can take away. Every time you rise early, every time you practice discipline, every time you push when others would stop, you are casting votes for the kind of person you are becoming. Imagine if you treated every choice as a seed. Some will sprout quickly, Others will take years underground before breaking the surface. But one day, your field will be filled with the results of what you planted. The question is, will that harvest bring pride, or will it bring regret? The weaker self inside you is always tempted by entitlement. It whispers that you should have more by now, that others had a head start, that life should be easier. But greatness is not built on fairness. It is built on fire. Fire that says, even if no one notices, I will still give everything I have. Fire that does not wait for applause, but burns in silence, fueled only by vision and persistence. Picture yourself as a craftsman in a workshop. No one is watching. No one is clapping. But each day you shape, polish, refine. To the outside world, it looks like nothing is happening. But when the day comes that your creation is revealed, people will wonder how you built something so extraordinary. They won't know the hours you invested in silence. They won't see the nights you stayed when others left. But you will know, and that knowledge will give you a confidence no praise could ever replace. So drop the script of entitlement. Replace it with gratitude. Gratitude that nothing is guaranteed, because that means everything is possible. Gratitude that the responsibility is yours, because that means the power is yours. You do not need saving. You need to begin. And once you begin, keep moving. Do not retreat when progress feels invisible. Do not pause when effort feels heavy. Every brick you lay matters. Every habit you build counts. Every act of consistency is chiseling away at the weaker version of you. Ask yourself this. When you look back years from now, will you wish you had started earlier, tried harder, endured longer? Or will you thank yourself for beginning even when it was difficult? That answer depends entirely on what you do today. The greatest freedom you will ever know is this. You no longer have to wait for anything. You no longer have to wait for a sign, for approval, for perfect timing. You can create your own momentum, your own opportunity, your own breakthrough. And when you do, you become unstoppable, because nothing outside of you has power over your destiny. Your transformation begins the moment you decide to stop waiting and start building. Not tomorrow, not when conditions improve. Right now, this is your time, and the stronger version of you is ready to lead. You will discover your greatest strength not in the moments of ease, but in the moments of resistance. Pressure is not your enemy. It is the very force that reveals who you truly are. Too often, people believe that if a path is difficult, it must be wrong. But in truth, the hard path is usually the one that leads to growth. Comfort never built a warrior. Ease never forged a leader. It is in the challenge, the stretching, the pushing beyond what feels safe that transformation takes place. Think of the runner who willingly climbs the steepest hills, not because he enjoys the pain, but because he knows those hills are the training ground for his future victories. Think of the pianist who spends hours perfecting a single passage, long after others would have given up, because she understands that mastery is hidden inside repetition. Think of the entrepreneur who keeps refining his work even after countless failures, because he sees each setback not as punishment, but as preparation. The principle is the same across all fields. Strength is earned through challenge. Every time you choose the harder road, you uncover new capacity within yourself. You discover that your limits were never as close as they seemed. The weaker self inside you begs for comfort, whispers that it isn't worth it, suggests that you should retreat. But the wiser self knows the truth. Those moments of pressure are your greatest teachers. They expose your weaknesses, but not to shame you, to show you where to grow stronger. Picture metal in the hands of a blacksmith. It does not become a blade through gentle polishing. It becomes a blade through fire, through hammer strikes, through repeated trials. Without that heat, the steel remains soft, ordinary, unfinished. You are no different. The fire of challenge is not here to destroy you. It is here to shape you. So, when pain arrives, Do not run from it. Instead, ask what it has come to teach you. Is it showing you where discipline is lacking? Is it pointing to habits that no longer serve you? Is it reminding you that you are stronger than you once believed? Pain is not an obstacle to growth. It is the doorway to it. Think about the last time you walked away too soon. Did you quit because the task was truly impossible, or because it hurt? Did you step back because you lacked ability, or because you lacked the patience to endure discomfort? Most people never find out what they are capable of, not because their limits are too close, but because they stopped when the challenge became uncomfortable. They bend when they should have stood firm. They retreat when they should have advanced. But you are not most people. You have the chance to be different. You have the chance to welcome resistance, to step willingly into challenge, to train in difficulty, so that when life tests you, you are already prepared. Imagine two soldiers. One avoids discomfort, choosing rest, ease, and safety. The other wakes early, trains in the cold, carries weight until his body trembles. When battle arrives, the first breaks under pressure, while the second stands unshaken. Why? Because he has already faced the storm in training. That is how you must approach your own life. Do hard things on purpose, not because you enjoy the struggle, but because you understand that struggle is the seed of strength. Choose the workout when your body wants rest. Choose the difficult conversation when silence feels safer. Choose to stay focused when distraction would be easier. Every time you do, you add another layer of steel to your spirit. This doesn't mean you will never feel fear or doubt. Even the strongest people feel them. But the difference lies in response. The weak self lets fear decide. The strong self listens, learns, and then moves forward anyway. That is what separates those who rise from those who remain stuck. The life you are building is not meant to be free of pressure. It is meant to be built through it. Each obstacle you face can either weigh you down or raise you higher. The choice is always yours. You can see difficulty as punishment, or you can see it as the gym where your character is trained. You can interpret resistance as a wall, or as a signal that you are moving in the right direction. The road will never be easy, and that is good news, because if it were easy, everyone would walk it, and it would lead nowhere worth going. The fact that it is hard is proof that it matters. So the next time you feel the urge to quit, remind yourself, this is the very moment where growth is happening. The weight you are carrying is not here to crush you, it is here to strengthen you. And every step you take, while under that weight, is sculpting the version of you who will one day stand unshakable. The stronger you is already inside. He reveals himself when you choose difficulty with purpose. When you stop seeing pain as an enemy and start seeing it as a mentor, you will understand what true transformation feels like. Every dream you hold in your heart requires one essential quality: persistence. Not talent, not luck, not perfect timing, persistence. Because the truth is, failure is not final. It is not the end unless you decide to stop. Every stumble, every setback, every so-called defeat is simply an invitation to begin again, stronger and wiser than before. Think of a child learning to walk. He falls, tumbles, crashes into tables. But never once does he decide that walking isn't for him. He gets up again, because deep inside he knows falling is part of rising. That same truth applies to you. You will fall. You will make mistakes. You will face moments that shake your confidence. But none of these moments define you. What defines you is whether you rise after the fall. History is filled with stories of people who refused to quit when it would have been easy to surrender. Walt Disney was told he lacked imagination. Oprah Winfrey was told she wasn't fit for television. Albert Einstein struggled to speak as a child and was considered slow. Yet each of them kept moving forward. They turned setbacks into stepping stones, and those very setbacks became the foundation of their greatness. Now, ask yourself, How many victories in your life are still buried, not because they failed to exist, but because you walked away too soon? How many goals were within reach, only one more attempt away, but you convinced yourself it was over? What if your next try was the one that would change everything? Failure is not your enemy. Quitting is. Failure is the teacher that sharpens your mind, toughens your spirit, and shows you where to grow. Every attempt that falls short is not wasted. It is preparing you for the breakthrough ahead. The only way to lose is to stop trying. The weaker self inside you is terrified of looking foolish. He imagines the laughter, the judgment, the embarrassment of another failure. But the stronger self knows that scars are not shameful. They are proof that you were brave enough to try. Every scar tells a story of persistence. Every scar says, I was tested, I was challenged, and I endured. Think of the blacksmith again, striking metal at his forge. Sometimes the blade breaks. Does he abandon it? No. He changes the angle, the fire, the pressure, and tries again. The broken piece of steel, reshaped by repeated trials, becomes sharper and stronger than before. And so it is with you. Your failures are not wasted material. They are the raw ingredients of your eventual success. The danger lies in hesitation. Most people try once, fail, and retreat into comfort. They tell themselves they are being realistic, but deep down they are carrying regret disguised as wisdom. Regret is the weight of abandoned attempts, and nothing weighs heavier on the human spirit than the thought, what if I had tried one more time? You must decide that your journey will not end at the first obstacle. You must train yourself to fall forward, not backward, to treat every stumble as progress, because falling forward means you are still moving in the right direction. When you rise after being knocked down, you grow in ways success alone could never teach you. Resilience, patience, courage, these are forged in the fire of repeated attempts. And each time you rise, you step closer to the life you are building. Do not wait for confidence before acting. Confidence comes from proof, and proof comes from persistence. You will never feel fully ready, but readiness is not the requirement. Movement is. Action is. The decision to keep going is. Picture the future version of yourself, standing tall, looking back on these days. He does not remember the exact number of times you fell. He remembers that you did not quit. He remembers that you got up again and again, even when the world was silent, even when no one believed, even when progress seemed invisible. That memory becomes his pride, his power, his foundation. You are always only one decision away from changing everything. Not a decision to never fail again, but a decision to never stay down again. The life you want does not require perfection. It requires endurance. So take another step. Try one more time. Give one more effort. Refuse to let hesitation be the author of your story. Refuse to give quitting the final word. Let persistence speak louder than fear. Let your determination outlast every obstacle. And when the day comes that your dream is reality, you will not just celebrate the achievement itself. You will celebrate the journey, the scars, the moments you almost gave up but didn't. Because those moments are what made you unstoppable. Every morning is an opportunity to step into the life you are building. The way you begin your day sets the tone for everything that follows. If you rise with hesitation, scrolling through distractions, dragging your feet, the hours slip away unfocused. But if you rise with intention, even before the world has stirred, you declare to yourself and to life itself that you are in command. The first hour after you wake is sacred. It is your forge, your training ground, the quiet space where you shape your mind, body, and spirit before the noise of the world arrives. When you treat those moments with discipline, you give yourself a foundation that nothing can shake. You don't need perfection. You don't need elaborate rituals. You need presence, clarity, and action. Even the simplest routine, breathing deeply, moving your body, Reading a page, writing a thought, can ignite strength that carries through the day. The weaker self will always find reasons to delay. I didn't sleep enough. I'll start tomorrow. I'm not a morning person. These are not truths. They are excuses wearing the mask of logic. And every time you give in to them, you reinforce the old pattern of hesitation. But when you rise with purpose, even when it feels inconvenient, you remind yourself that discipline is stronger than mood, and that is how confidence is built. Your mornings are where momentum is born. Each day you begin with structure, you sharpen your focus. Each time you keep your first promise of the day, you strengthen your self-respect. That early victory becomes the energy that fuels every choice after it. By noon, by evening, when others are tired, you are still moving with clarity because you began from a place of intention. This is not about hustling endlessly or turning yourself into a machine. It is about leadership, and the first person you must lead is yourself. When you choose direction instead of reaction, when you create the rhythm of your day instead of being pulled by it, you rise as the author of your life instead of a passenger. And here is the deeper truth. You do not need to wait for the perfect environment to begin. Life will always be noisy. Conditions will rarely be ideal. But greatness has never been born in silence and comfort. It has always been forged in the middle of chaos. The leaders, creators, and visionaries we admire didn't wait for the world to hand them clarity. They carved it out themselves. Do not confuse comfort with peace. Comfort makes you weaker. Peace makes you stronger. Comfort asks you to avoid challenge. Peace is found in the middle of challenge, when you know who you are and where you are going. One dulls your spirit, the other sharpens it. That is why you must choose growth over ease, discipline over distraction, persistence over hesitation. Every small decision you make echoes into the future. Wake up when you said you would. You train your future self to be reliable. Speak truth instead of excuses. You give your future self integrity. Stay consistent with your practice. You gift your future self strength. The version of you 5 years from now is watching, waiting, living in the house you are building with your actions today. Make choices he will thank you for. And remember, you cannot carry your old identity into your new future. The hesitant self who doubted, delayed, and explained away responsibility has served his time. Let him go. Bury him under the weight of your decisions, your habits, your persistence. Because you cannot climb a mountain while dragging the corpse of who you used to be. Every step becomes heavier until you decide to release him and rise unburdened. This is the moment to write a new story. A story where you are not waiting, not wishing, not apologizing, but creating, building, leading. A story where your actions speak louder than your words, where your habits prove your commitment, where your results are undeniable. The world does not need another person who almost tried. It needs you, fully alive, fully committed, fully relentless. So begin now. Begin with what you have, where you are, with the strength already inside you. Do not wait for applause, for luck, for someone to clear the path. Take one step, then another, and before long, you will look back and realize that the small, faithful actions you took each day have built a life so extraordinary it hardly seems real. One day, others will ask how you did it. They will want to know the secret, and you will smile because you will know the truth. There was no secret. There was only a decision to keep going, to stay consistent, to rise every time you fell, to honor your word, to trust your path. And that decision made all the difference.